What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you. It is week number 8 of the college football season. Wrapping it up tonight with the picks against the spread video. I'm going to see how I did against the numbers. Picked a lot of games this week, so there's some wins in here. There's surely some losses and some surprises. So let's get right into this. Had UCLA Stanford, which is a no pick on that one. Actually would have gotten it wrong, but I started my video after that game had already started. So you can't place bets on a game after it already starts. Not on the on that anyway. I don't believe can, and I won't count that one. Had a smart aleck comment from somebody. Well, I guess the Pitt and Syracuse game was practice too, huh? Yeah. We got some comedians. All right, but the Pitt-Syracuse game failed to cover. Pitt won the game 27-20. Syracuse just disappointing this year. Won't be laying points with the Orange anymore. Offense is horrible. Ohio State at Northwestern, they covered the number easily. It was 52-3. A lot of people not wanting to take Ohio State in that game are like, that's just a big number. That's just a big number to cover. No, it's not. Not when this team is putting up the kind of numbers offensively that Ohio State's been putting up this year. Cover on that one. Getting into Saturday's games with the nice one here, cover by Boston College. Nice win at home, 45-24 over NC State. They were actually ahead in this game by about 30 points at one time. NC State scored a little bit there late to make it look closer than it really was. So that one covers. So of course, we know the Florida at South Carolina did not cover for me. The Gamecocks lose 37-28 or 38-27, excuse me, in Williams-Brice Stadium last night. Following this up with two losses here, Missouri fails to cover the number. They lose to Vanderbilt. The final score in that game was 21-14. Vandy comes out on top of Missouri. Just a very, very disappointing loss there for Missouri. They're a better team than that. They've got to do better than that. That was Tennessee also fails to cover Alabama, fails to cover the number against Tennessee. They win. It was 35-13. So that one's another incorrect pick. I did kind of want to take Tennessee in this game. I flip-flop back and forth, and I ultimately chose Alabama. I just figured they would be going for style points. Tua Tagovailoa left this game, I want to say, around halftime with injury. But to be honest with you, they really weren't playing all that well when he was in the game. So I do believe in the second half they would have turned on the afterburners just a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. It didn't happen, so they lost that game. That would be an incorrect pick. Clemson does cover the number against Louisville with a 45-10 win. They just keep on rolling along, not really seriously challenged this week. I thought Louisville was going to keep that one closer than that. Clemson started slow as well, but they finished fast. Georgia Tech covers the number here. They win on the road at Miami, 28-21, picking up their first ACC victory on the season. And this is another spot here where I don't know what the exact numbers were, but I guarantee you 95% of the public took Miami in this game. Just are looking at, or at least figure that they would win the game. Maybe not took them on the point spread line. But this is just another classic case of nobody is as good as they looked last week, and nobody's as bad as they looked last week. I mean, you would think, after last week going out beating Virginia, a ranked team that was obviously much better than Miami, that Miami will curb stomp Georgia Tech. This didn't happen. It didn't happen. You had to kind of look. Georgia Tech was improving more and more every week on offense, and they finally get it done. ACC win on the road. Good job, Georgia Tech, with that. Auburn easily covers the number, blows out Arkansas on the road, 51-10. Here's a shocker. Wisconsin loses their first game of the season to Illinois, 24-23. I mean, this is a team that had given up nothing all year as far as points. I mean, and Illinois goes out there and puts 24 points on, which is as much as they've given up in like 3 games. So hats off to Lovie Smith and his team there. That was a disappointing loss for Wisconsin. They're going to look back on that one and really be kicking themselves over that at the end of the year, I believe. Papers out of order. We come back here, another incorrect pick here. Iowa probably suffering a little bit from that loss last week to Penn State, pretty disappointing fashion. They win, but they don't cover the number, 26-20 over Purdue in Iowa City. Oklahoma covers the number against West Virginia. This is an easy win for them at home. The final score in that game was 52-14 in favor of the Sooners. TCU goes to Kansas State and they lose. That one was kind of surprising to me by a final score of 24-17. Kansas State with the win in that ball game. Oregon State goes on the road to Cal and they cover the number. Not only they get the win over Cal, final score there 21-17. Good job by the Beavers picking up another win in the Pac-12. That's 2 wins this year. Very good job there by those guys. I picked Temple to cover against SMU. That didn't happen. 45-21. The Mustangs win at home. South Florida versus Navy. 35-13. Navy wins that game. Indiana goes on the road to Maryland and they get a win. Not doing too well here. 34-28. Minnesota covers the number, 42-7 win over Rutgers. Washington doesn't. 35-31 was the score. They lost to Oregon. Close game there. Really good game. North Carolina, Virginia Tech. UNC don't cover the number. Lose 43-41 in overtime 6 overtimes, to Virginia Tech. That was a crazy game. I really didn't get to see that much of that when I was watching other stuff too. Kind of flipping back and forth, and it's just disappointing there for North Carolina. Virginia Tech has a record of 5-2, but are they really a 5-2 good? No, they're not. Duke at Virginia. Virginia easily covers the spread there. They blow Duke out 48-14. Now, that's the best win of the year probably for Virginia. They looked impressive on both sides of the ball against the Blue Devils. Did not think that they would be blowing them out like that. This is a team, they're back in the driver's seat now, I feel like, in the ACC Coastal, and they're going to get it done there. I believe that they're going to also snap that long string of losses in that Commonwealth Cup game to Virginia Tech at the end of the year. I just don't see any way they don't get it done. LSU, after a slow start, they come out, they cover the number against Mississippi State, final in that ball game, 36-13 in Starkville. Baylor at Oklahoma State. This was a kind of a disappointing one there for me. Baylor wins, over Oklahoma State, 45-27, the final score in that one. Disappointing with the Georgia Bulldogs as well. Failing to cover. They do win 21-0 over Kentucky. Very, very slow start to that game and kind of exploded in the second half. As much as 21 points is worth for exploding, I guess, and they win. Arizona State at Utah. Utah gets the cover there, 21-3 over the Sun Devils. Colorado at Washington State. Washington State gets the cover there, 41-10 win over Colorado. Texas, boo-boo the foo-foo. They win last night by a final score of 48-50 over the Kansas Jayhawks. Kicked a field goal there at the end and win that game. Memphis does cover against Tulane. They won that game by a final score of 47-17. Huge win there for Memphis over the second-place team in the AAC West. They kind of distanced themselves a little bit there. Ole Miss does not cover the number against Texas A&M. They lost 24-17. I figured that would be a close game, just a little bit closer than that. Michigan covers the number against Penn State, so I had an incorrect pick there. It was 28-21, the final score. Michigan wins. Michigan loses. What am I talking about tonight? 28-21, Penn State wins the game in Happy Valley. Gave up a touchdown later on in the game. Kind of made me a little bit mad because that was a game that I had circled there. Clearly outplayed Michigan, but just don't cover the number there. Wake Forest covers against Florida State 22-20. Good win for the Demon Deacons there, are 6-1 now. They covered that one by the slimmest of margins, didn't they? Half a point. 22-20. Wake Forest wins. It'd been 21-20. I'd have gotten that one wrong. And the last couple of games here, Arizona at USC. USC, do they cover? Why, yeah, they do. 41-14. I've often wondered, I do a whole lot better on Pac-12 games, especially these late ones, than I do some of the SEC and ACC games. It's nuts. The only one I got wrong was that Washington pick, and that was just marginally wrong. And then Boise State, who I picked to cover the spread there against BYU, they don't do it. BYU actually wins the game 28-25 over Boise State. So kind of disappointing there. Loss for Boise State, knocking them from the ranks of the unbeaten, but it is what it is. It's college football. So with the week number 8 picks, I should say week 8, not week 7. I finished with a record this week, and that doesn't look like an 8 either. That does. Week 8 finished with a record of 15-18-0 on the pushes. So not a good week, under 50% as a whole. And year to date, we are now 105 on the wins, 117 on the losses, and 3 pushes. I had narrowed the gap some last week, but the gap widens back out this week a little bit. I'm going to do my best to do a little bit more research on some of these picks this week so we can come back with a better number. It is what it is, though, with college football. Some of these there were some kind of difficult picks here. I mean, where were the big surprises at? I mean, I think Missouri losing obviously was a huge surprise. Georgia Tech was surprising over Miami. It wasn't to me, but of course it was. And, of course, the biggest upset that shocked the nation, Wisconsin losing to Illinois. Absolutely ain't no one saw that coming. If you did, you were quite the prognosticator. Oregon State, good win on the road at Cal, that 21-17 win there. Those guys, I think they're finally trying to get that program turned around. They're doing a nice job of it this year. UNC Virginia Tech thing was wild. I need to go back and watch the highlights of that. Virginia with a huge win over Duke at home. I mean, they just looked great last night. Looked like the team that I thought they would all year long. So there's that. Clemson continues to roll. Of all the top teams, I mean, they really look the most impressive. Well, you got to throw Ohio State in there too, I guess. Alabama really didn't look that impressive to me. Penn State, even with getting a win, I still thought that they would handle Michigan with a little bit more ease than what they did. So that's it, guys. Week number 8 is in the books. There'll be some more week 9 videos coming up soon. Picks against the spread, some Gamecock trash talk with the Tennessee Volunteers game coming up at 4 o'clock on Saturday over on the SEC Network. Really looking forward to that one. I think that there's no excuse in there. We should get a good win in that game, and we should move back to 4-4 on the season and get a couple of strong wins after that. All right, guys, I will see y'all later. If you enjoyed this video, please hit it with a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Click the little bell right there to your right, and you can get an update, know whenever Carolina Jackpot posts a video, goes live, or does whatever I do. I'll see y'all later. Thanks. Peace, and I'm out. Go Gamecocks.